Hiking with a fearful dog is, in theory, possible, but there are quite a few things to remember and to plan. But before I go into detail about my tips for hiking with fearful dogs, let's check what we are getting ourselves into. If you don't start right in front of your door, and yes, that's possible, but if you take your fearful dog somewhere and start hiking there, everything is new, and we have to be aware of that. So there are a lot of new things that just hit your fearful dog, and your dog has to be ready for that. All right, and that can mean that you have to really pick and choose where you walk with your fearful dog, or where you hike with your fearful dog, and where you start. So do you start with a real hike, or do you start with just exploring new areas? That can help your fearful dog get into the whole thing of new things are positive, right? And to make that possible in the first place, and that's my first tip, your fearful dog has to know that he can trust you. He has to be absolutely sure that you are a reliable companion and you will help him. Now, if you're not 100% sure that that's the case already, build up that relationship first. And there is a whole new course coming out on how to do that. I will link that in the description. So check that out if you want to do that with your fearful dog. If you know your dog trusts you, then you can start planning your hike. And for that, you need to have strategies ready that calm your dog down if that should be necessary. So what can you do if your dog gets fearful, if your dog gets scared? What can you do to help him? And that can be a variety of things. It can be everything that is connected with positive emotions and that your dog knows really, really well. So it can be search games, it can be tricks, it can be a timeout on your arm or in a portable relaxation zone like a buggy or things like that. All of those you can use to help your dog reset emotionally on a hike. And of course, all of those have to be prepared and trained beforehand. So your dog really knows what you want if you give a specific cue or if you ask him if he wants to do X, Y, Z, right? The next really important point is to start in an area that your fearful dog will most likely be comfortable in. So, for example, if your dog is only fearful of people, a forest might be easily doable for your dog. For my Sammy, on the other hand, who is very afraid of wildlife smells, a forest is a huge challenge. So start small. Start where you are sure your dog can cope. And be sure that you have a way out. It can always happen that your fearful dog becomes really scared or even panicked and you have to cut the hike short, or you have to stop and turn around and things like that. So be sure that this is possible. Pick routes that you can get to your car fast, right? And you don't have to walk back for hours, right? And the same thing goes for the weather. So yes, if you want to do mountain hikes, the weather can change very quickly on a mountain. So I would start in an area where weather changes are not that fast. And if you know your dog is, for example, afraid of thunderstorms, or you don't know if your dog is afraid or not, I would check the weather forecast and really see if there are thunderstorms coming to the area. And if so, don't try it. Be sure as much as you can be, right? There can always be things happening. And there can always be situations that you did not foresee. Like there could be wooden bridges where your dog can see through, or you can come up to metal stairs where you can see through, right? And it's uncomfortable to step on as a dog. And it can happen that your dog will just hit the brakes and will not come with you over those things. So if you can check for those beforehand, that's awesome. And if you're not sure if your dog could conquer those things, see if you can try them out somewhere that is easily accessible and you don't need to hike for hours to get there. All right. So you see, hiking with a fearful dog takes a lot more preparation than with a normal dog. And you definitely want to stay on the safe side and on the positive side. You want to have fun with your dog, right? You want to connect positive emotions with those little adventures. And for that, I can really recommend not pushing your dog over the edge. So if you see your dog struggling and you cannot calm your dog down with the things we talked about, turn around and go back. You have to be ready to cut the walk short. And if you want to know how to help your fearful dog on walks even more, click here.